KCIW listeners, everybody out there in Radio Land, or I should say radio space, radio airwaves. Yeah, we are here on the Quality Living with Peaceful Support show. I'm Amanda Whittemore. I'm your radio character, and as you do know me in person, I very much love being the character. It's a lot of fun. And we get to do pretty much anything we really choose to in life, not just here on the radio show. However, we do often invite different guests here into the radio station. Downstairs from the Black Trumpet, we have our own little special whole entire radio show and studio. If you guys have not been inside KCIW radio station, make a tour, get the kids down here, grandkids, all of it. And I'm talking about the elders when I say grandkids, of course. And mostly, this is a all-volunteer-ran, donation-based radio program where we get to have a couple of minutes of quality to give thanks to our community and people who make our lives better. And today, I'm really honored to introduce to the Curry County and our global audience, because there is a link at kciw.org that you are welcome to share with your friends and family. They can listen anywhere in the world. However, I really want to introduce you all to a very important person to me and one of my mentors, and someone who has really helped evolve the way of living with truest quality at heart. And I'll have a whole lot more to say about this. I want to introduce you all to Austin. Are you with us?
Hi, everybody. Yes, I am with you. I am with you. Thank you, Amanda. My name's Austin. Thank you all for having me and listening to me and inviting me on your program.
Absolutely. I'll give a little bit of background, then I'm going to ask you a bunch of questions. Listeners, what really did happen was I got to work at one of our most fanciest places here in town, and that is the Tu Tu Tun Lodge up there in Gold Beach, up the river, with paddles and canoes and hot tubs and fancy dining. And Austin was the executive chef at the time, and probably one of the best bosses I've ever had as far as ethics, integrity, dignity, and timing. There's so much I learned from Austin that I felt to stay in contact with him throughout these years. It's been quite a while since we've done that together. And so much has evolved in our lives. And I thought it'd be fun to have an update and hear where it is that life has brought you and what's going on in your world.
Yeah, that's great. I think before I can even get into that, though, I mean, obviously working with Amanda was memorable in so many ways, but I think probably the most memorable way was the way that you actually ended up at the lodge and ended up taking a position there, because if you could just tell that story, Amanda, it's one of my favorites.
Okay. So I had left the fire station. I was working at the CFPA, and it was the day of the fair. And I just dressed up like a cowgirl. You know, I had my boots on, my pants, my hat, the whole, like, to the T. And I was talking with one of my former bosses, and he looks at me and he says, "Well, what are you doing right now?" And I said to him, "I'm actively looking for employment. You know, I'm working on my next career." And he looked at me like, "You're here at the fair. Like, seriously, kid? Like, really?" And I thought to myself, you know what? I better get in the car right now, and I better pull out my list, because I did have a list. I just hadn't gone to the places yet. So I walked right into the Tu Tu Tun Lodge, not even thinking of how I was dressed.
And I'm pretty sure it was like right in the middle of dinner, too.
Probably right at 5:15, like the busiest time ever, the one time that you don't want to show up. Yeah, and they brought me back for an interview and asked, you know, what am I looking to do? And I said, well, what do you need help with? And
I think the thing I remember most is, yes, the fair cowgirl outfit, and this very, very confident woman walks in and says, "This is the most beautiful property I've ever seen. I want to be a part of what you're doing here." And she reached out and shook my hand, and I was like, I have no idea what her experience is, where she comes from, if she's ever worked in hotels or restaurants before, but this person's a must hire. Um, and then, of course, once I actually sat down and talked to Amanda and kind of figured out a little bit more about her, obviously she was a perfect fit for us up there. But yeah, I always think of that story when I think of Amanda because it was just such a random way to meet somebody. And then obviously, working together for you for what, I don't know how long we worked together, a year and a half. Very memorable experience as well.
So fun. Yeah. And this is even funnier. Ben and I were just here. So Ben just decided to be a co-host on this show, believe it or not.
Nice. That's amazing.
I'm sure you remember when we first started working together. Like, this is how awesome Austin is. He saw the beneficial, like he could see the future of like the benefits and the ability of the people that were in his presence and what they could achieve. Maybe they weren't doing it right then, but he knew how to navigate and direct us. And so Ben and I actually didn't get along because we had really strong personalities and we really wanted the job done correctly.
The way you thought the job, each of you had your own idea of how the job should be done. It was very different.
Right? And Austin actually had to cut the fire. And he brought both of us back into the office and he's like, look, you guys need to get along and, you need to agree to disagree. And after that meeting, Ben and I became like best friends and we still are.
Yeah.
So I want to thank you.
To hear. Ben is actually another person that I'm still in touch with from those days. So that's amazing that he's going to be joining you on the radio program.
Yeah. I was like hoping he could be here tonight for this interview, but he couldn't make it, but he will in the future. I'm so excited about all that. So for you and your executive chef and the way that you handled business, like timing was everything. There was no reason for error. There was no time for error. And to have everything clean and everything of a certain level of excellence to thrive, to be better every day, really shined quality beyond belief. And it was so alleviating to have a higher up, like the boss, the shot caller say, hey, this is how we're operating. It's very rare to have people care and enforce it. And so it was such a relief. And I think Ben and I were maybe the only two people who really appreciated the seriousness with the amount of fun that you gave us. Like, you gave us freedom, but you were like, as long as we did good. I loved it.
Yeah, for sure. I mean, as long as, we had our structure, we had a plan every day. We always knew, the great part about Tu Tu Tun is it was guest only back in those days with COVID and everything. So, we had a pretty good idea of how many guests we were going to have and what services they were going to be with us. So, there was a lot of opportunity to be prepared because, as you know, Amanda, in restaurants, things go wrong. No matter what you do, no matter how prepared you are, things are going to go wrong every night. And so kind of preparing as best we can so we could kind of adapt to those trying situations, I think, certainly made the quality of service, at that high level, but also it gave us time to be creative and think creatively and problem solve situations that we probably wouldn't have had as much time to think about had we just been kind of running around and reactively dealing with problems as they emerged, right?
Right. Yes. With the perception of being proactive.
Yes, very much so.
We had a good team. I really liked our team. I liked the time. I think Kyle, for sure, he was a big part of that excellence.
Yeah, I mean, honestly, in a lot of it, that hotel, starting with the Van Zants, and then Kyle taking over after, working as a young man for the Van Zants, and just kind of maintaining that spirit of, excellence at the lodge, it's such a great thing because, the lodge is beautiful, but it's also 55 years old or something like that. So it's a very old building. It doesn't have all the bells and whistles that, fancy luxury hotels in Napa and other areas have. Mm-hmm. But the quality of service that you get there is really second to none. And that I credit to Kyle.
Absolutely. Well, and your background, tell us a little bit about your background.
So my background is, I've been working as a chef for many, many years. Um, Before Tatooine, I was over in Hawaii. I was on the island of Lanai working for a Four Seasons resort there. And I was there for a couple of years. I was with Four Seasons for 6 years total in Jackson Hole and then in Hawaii. And then COVID happened. So I kind of ended up back in Oregon and wasn't real sure what to do. I just wanted to be at home during the pandemic and discovered this beautiful little lodge in the middle of nowhere. And obviously, once I visited the property, I think it was very similar to your situation, Amanda. I kind of fell in love with it and stayed for 2.5 years. And since then I've been in Portland. I opened a large Taiwanese restaurant up in Portland. I was there for about 3 years, and then most recently I'm down in Lake Tahoe, working at the Ritz-Carlton Lake Tahoe. So yeah, I love to work. Obviously, I move around for jobs a lot, but mostly the reason I love to work is the people I get to work with, right?
Yeah, absolutely. And that's what makes it really all the different characters, all the different personalities, and learning how they tick or like what moves them or how to create the infrastructure that just really shines that superstar team.
Yep, yep. Yeah, I always like to say that everybody's good at something. And it's the job of a manager to put people in positions where they're going to be successful. And if you can do that well, sky's the limit.
That's really well said. That's very true. Absolutely. Because a lot of people, they, instead of find what your strengths are and go with it.
Yep.
No time to mess around. And if I remember, there was something, I can't remember exactly what it was or who it was. There was a special school or a teacher or somebody, like a famous chef or something that you interacted with. Maybe.
Professionally,
Yeah.
I've worked for a number of famous chefs. When I was in Lanai, I was working at a Japanese restaurant called Nobu. So Nobu Matsuhisa is a very famous Japanese chef. Has incredibly famous restaurants all over the world now. So that was great. But I've been privileged enough to work with a lot of amazing chefs, and then also get to meet and work with some of some of the legendary chefs in the culinary world. And it was probably a month ago, Thomas Keller was in our restaurant.
Ooh.
And it was great to finally meet him, someone who I've been reading his cookbooks for years and worked with so many people who have worked at his restaurants and never actually met him before. And he was here, and it was really great to see someone that was just probably the most legendary chef in American cuisine. So down to earth. He was there taking pictures with the team and fist bumping everybody. And, he just made special time to actually spend time in the kitchen. And he was just here on vacation. He just came in to eat breakfast, but ended up spending half a day just kind of hanging out with the staff. So it was really amazing to see someone at that level, just so incredibly down to earth and so appreciative of all the people that do the hard, nasty work in the hospitality business.
It's so true. There's so much behind the scenes that, when everything is all shiny and polished and exactly to the orders request, the guests, say all these things to this cute little human standing in front of them, and they come back and they just present this, shiny diamond and have no idea
right.
the crud and it worked its way out of to be
Exactly.
so shiny.
I always like the analogy of the swan, where you've got it peaceful on top of the water, and then underneath the water, the legs are just going wild.
That is so true. Oh, man. I love that. That's a really good one. Listeners, we are talking with Austin, an executive chef, I would like to say a pretty famous chef in this area and from Hawaii to Tahoe. And with a lot of integrity and dignity, like you don't, like, a lot of people don't understand the difference between being stern and reprimanding or giving directions or orders, which is totally different than yelling and being an and I don't care what anybody says. But I don't even know if I'm allowed to say that on radio, but I'll probably get beeped out. For sure, I know that there's a difference, and a lot of people don't understand that when they're doing a bad job, it's important for somebody to say, hey, it's not all bells and whistles and pretty roses. Like, you're not doing a good job. You need to do something different. And it's constructive criticism. And I think you're really excellent at that. And I really appreciate your role.
Well, yeah, thank you. I taught culinary school while I was working at Tu Tu Tun as well when I was over in Bend.
That's right.
Um, and I always used to tell my culinary students that, failure is the best teacher. And it's one of those things that it kind of makes you take a second and think about it. But if you're open to learning from your mistakes, there's no better teacher than trying and failing at something. And I would say that most of the things that I've learned how to do well have come after many, many failed attempts at it.
Right, right. Especially in the kitchen.
Especially at the kitchen and especially with cooking, right? I mean, when you start out with a recipe and you start to build a menu and things like that, and you start testing, I mean, you have those moments where you think, oh man, there's this season's going to be a disaster. This menu's awful. And then of
Oh,
course, by the time all the testing and everything and all the months of hard work are over, you end up with some things that you're really proud of and people really enjoy. But it is difficult.
mm-hmm, mm-hmm. Yeah, there's a lot of moving parts. Unbelievable
Yep.
amount of detail. More detail, more detail, tons more detail.
Yep. But I mean, the great thing is you get to see that with people too, where you have people that you meet and they come in and maybe they're not real motivated at first, or they're not very just good at their job, or they don't notice the things they need to be noticing. And then a lot of times those people, they grow, and seeing that metamorphosis of a person growing into like a true professional is really rewarding as well. So yeah.
Nice. And how long are you at the Ritz-Carlton for?
TBD. I just moved down from Portland 2.5 months ago.
Okay.
So I'm here for at the very least a year, but hopefully longer. I do love this area down here. I love Oregon. Oregon is home. But my wife and I, after living in the city for the last 3 years, we're definitely ready to be back, a little bit closer to nature. And it's great being in the mountains and back in this area. So we'd like to stay for longer.
Right. Yeah. Good. Well, I hope you get to. I really do. Sounds like you're in like just the perfect. I mean, I love that area. I grew up around there, those parts.
Yep.
It's
Yep.
just
That's right.
heavenly.
You did. Yeah. Yeah.
Yeah. We have a special question we like to ask our guest on the Quality Living Show. We like to ask, what does or how does or can you describe the word quality to you?
Sure. I mean, quality to me personally it's almost an experiential thing.
Hmm.
When you're providing something of quality to something, you're providing them an experience, even if it's something it's basic and simple. But it's something that's thoughtful, it's something that's genuine, and it's something that people remember.
Mm-hmm.
And then they get this idea of, hey, I had this really quality meal, or I bought this really quality jacket, and you remember kind of in our culture the brand that it came with, whether it's Tu Tu Tun Lodge or a Ritz-Carlton or a clothing company, you remember the quality and you remember the brand, and it brings you back over and over again. And as long as you continue to provide that kind of same experience each time, I mean, that's how you create, lifelong customers, sometimes lifelong friends. But yeah, I would say that quality is very much something that you remember, and it's an experience.
Wow, that's so phenomenal. I love it. We're at like our 100th show, and we really have never had a repeated answers. And that was another unique, super individual answer. I love it. Experience.
Cool.
Yeah. My family lives up in that area, and my sister, I don't know if you remember, she's the fitness instructor. She's like big stage bodybuilder, like gets people show
That's right.
ready.
Yep.
She goes up to Tahoe all the time for shows. And I would like to get a group of them to go up and enjoy a meal of yours, like so they could have the experience and have that quality moment. How would I tell them where or how or when they could enjoy some of your creations?
Sure, absolutely. I mean, we could take this offline later, and I can give you some more specific details. But I mean, the Ritz-Carlton Lake Tahoe is located right at North Star. We're at 7,000 feet, so we're the only ski out resort in the area. And yeah, we've got 6 or 7 different restaurants here in the hotel, so they would have a lot of options should they come choose to dine with us. And definitely let me know if they are leaning that way, and I'll set something up.
Nice.
Yeah,
Exciting.
that'd be very fun. And I've got a team of chefs that would just love to build them some personal menus. And yeah.
That'd be so fun. I'm gonna have to. Oh, it's for her birthday. Her birthday's November 20th. That
There
would
you
be
go.
so cool. Rad.
Yeah, that'd be perfect timing too. I don't recommend coming during the height of the ski season because we're just so busy. It's I don't want the quality of service is the same. It's just it's very, very busy and kind of chaotic. So they will get definitely more personalized service, I'll say, if they
Yeah.
come before the snow.
Yeah, yeah. I'm gonna have to do that afterwards. I'll have to get a gift certificate, get it all lined up so she could get up there and enjoy one of your creations.
Yeah, just let me know.
Yeah, absolutely. So we also have another question that we like to talk with our listeners about here on the Quality Living Show. And ladies and gentlemen, listeners out there, if you have any questions, you can call 541-661-4098 speaking about questions, or you can email contact@kciw.org. And our other question is peaceful support. How does that work in your world? Where do you see it?
Sure.
Yeah.
I think peaceful support, talking about Lake Tahoe and, Gold Beach and Curry County, I think peaceful support for me, a lot of it comes to my environment. Obviously working in the hospitality industry, it's busy and it's chaotic and it's loud and, there's inherent conflict in your day to day. So I think one of the things that I always love to be around is when I get out of work, can I look at a beautiful river? Can I look at beautiful mountains and trees? Are there magical things I can see outside of work that kind of just make me kind of forget about everything and make me realize why I'm doing what I'm doing and why I'm living where I'm living. So that's definitely one of the big things for peaceful support for me is just the actual environment I live in. But then second, of course, is the people I surround myself with.
Oh yeah, that's exactly. Those are winners right there. And that's really real. Some of us forget about like what are we surrounding ourselves with? Who are we surrounding ourselves with? That's a big one.
Yep.
Yeah, yeah. Are there any goals that you're working on at the moment, or any like big projects coming up, or?
I don't think I have any big projects. Obviously, I'm new to my new property here in Lake Tahoe, and so I have a lot of learning to do. Ritz-Carlton has a very set way of doing things, and while I've been with hotels like the Four Seasons and stuff in the past, Ritz-Carlton and Marriott are a very specific international brand. So I think just learning my new role and getting to know the staff is probably my big project right now.
Oh yeah. How many people do you have?
I think we have around 70 dishwashers and cooks and those types of people. The entire property, so it's 180 rooms, and we have around 300 employees total.
Phenomenal. Oh my gosh.
Yeah, a little bigger than Tu Tu Tun.
Yeah.
It's taking me longer to learn names.
Right. Exactly. I have a really funny memory that just came to mind, and I was having I was having a moment, like how everybody, I'm sure we can really, when you have those days, like just that one day that is just piling up on you and there's just no escaping it. Austin was the coolest ever. He actually gave me a plate. He says, "Do you want to go outside and break this?" And I said, "Yes." And I've never done that before. I just walked outside and I just smashed it in it, and I picked it up, cleaned it up, swept it up. But that release was like the most amount of peaceful support I've ever had.
Yeah.
Oh.
That's really funny, and it's funny you bring that up too, because in the years since then, I actually I've started taking kind of like boxing classes. I'm not fighting anybody. I just feels good a couple days a week to just go and hit the bag for 45 minutes. And it was something I never would thought I would do, but it's the exact same thing is, I started to explore these ideas of there's some frustrations in our lives that are justified.
Mm-hmm.
And you can't just say, I need to calm down. I need to not be upset about this. It's going to bug you, and then it's going to fester. And then it just kind of piles on and piles on and piles on. And so it's something that I've been working on is like, how do I deal with this justified anger?
Uh-huh.
And one of the things was, go out in the garage and break a plate. Or eventually I was just like, it's a lot less messy if I go and beat on a boxing bag for a while. Yeah, for a while I was breaking eggs in our garage to get the release, and my wife wasn't a real fan of that because it smelled horrible and it made a huge mess. So the boxing has been a better solution.
Epic. And you get a little fitness and your heart feels better and you got some physical
Yeah.
activity.
And I get to take care of myself a little bit. Yeah, so it's been nice.
I love it. Oh man, I'm so grateful and so thankful. And if anybody out there, any of us listeners, if you want to go to the Ritz-Carlton, you're totally welcome in the North Shore, right?
Yep, it's in the North Shore, just outside of Truckee, and then of course there's a new one in Portland as well.
Portland, really?
Yeah.
Huh.
Yeah.
Interesting. Yeah, that's not too far. It's fun for us to get out of town a little bit. As much as I love Brookings, I love the area. I'm so grateful for this magical little piece of heaven. You know, it's
It is a great area. I miss it all the time. Yeah.
right, right. Yeah, it's weird. It's like you're in it and you're like, all right, there's nothing to do, but there's so much to do. It's just just an interesting place. I'm pretty grateful. And, you know, someday you and me and Ben and Kyle and the rest of the kids are going to have a Tu Tu Tun reunion, get together for a
Yes.
meal or do something fun, you know, like just a big purposeful gathering.
Yes, most definitely.
Epic. Well, it's that time already. I want to say thank you, Austin, for sharing and having beautiful memories and keeping the quality and integrity out there in the eating world, the hospitality realm.
Yeah, absolutely. Thank you for having me, Amanda. Listeners, thank you for listening to me. And yeah, this was really fun.
Epic. Thank you so much. Okay, signing off.
All right. Bye-bye.
Bye.